Explora Journeys is the new luxury cruise line launched by the Aponte family that also own MSC Cruises. And so many of you have been asking for my thoughts about their ships. So welcome aboard, I'm Gary Bembridge, and in this I'm going to look at the ship's hits and misses based on my cruise on their newest ship, the 922 passenger, 461 cabin Explora II. I'll take you around the outside decks, through the dining venues, bars, lounges and other facilities, including something unusual that only two other luxury ships have. And finally, of course, I'm going to show you and review the cabins. From the outside, the ship looks sleek and modern. Explora Journeys say they're going for a yacht-like look. I'm not entirely sure that they've achieved it, but you can see where the inspiration comes from. So let's explore those outside decks. The ship is absolutely designed for warm weather cruising, and they've taken an approach that increasing numbers of modern cruise ships have, including Virgin Voyages, for example, with generous amount of outer deck space, but it's spread around the exterior decks with many different spaces and tucked away areas, rather than large open spaces crammed with lounges. One miss though for me, especially for a luxury ship, is there's no full promenade deck right around the ship. Here is what I actually discovered exploring the outside decks, starting at the top. Highest and up on deck 14 is the Sky Bar. It overlooks the rear of the ship. It's a beautiful place to go on sail away, as they have a DJ that plays here. But also it's a great spot to enjoy the views on sunny sea days. There's also a hot tub up here, the first of many. Also on deck 14 is the fitness and sports area. This is a well-stocked open air gym here with rowers, bikes and workout benches which include weights. They also have two courts for paddle tennis and also for basketball. Down on deck 12 you can stroll right around the ship if you're missing a promenade deck, but there's also a walking and running track that weaves around most of this deck too. What about swimming pools? There are 4 main ones, as well as several large hot tubs dotted around the ship. On deck 12 at the front of the ship is the adult-only Helios Adult Pool and Bar, which is the only adult area on board. This is important to note because Explora Journeys are targeting families more than any other luxury line. Also on deck 12 towards the rear are 2 large rectangular hot tubs overlooking each side of the ship. Down on deck 11 is the main pool. This is the conservatory pool and bar. It's a good sized pool with comfy seating around it. There are also 2 large covered hot tubs on either side. There's a big screen here where they show movies, Formula 1 and so on. On deck 10 is the Atoll Pool and Bar. It's at the rear of the ship with seating, covered areas and a good decent sized pool. Then down on deck 5 is the 4th of the main pools. This is the Astern Pool and Bar. It's also at the rear of the ship with seating, covered areas again and an infinity plunge pool. It's a great space to be on sea days. So that's the outside decks. Now let's dive inside the ship. First, the interiors look very smart and luxurious. The Aponte family worked with yacht and hotel designers, not the ship designers that others use, and they got personally involved in the detail of the designs and the decor. When entering the ship for the first time, there is a real sense of wow factor as you embark on deck 4 or deck 5 into the grand 2-deck lobby with a feature staircase. It felt a little bit like what Viking has done with their statement staircase. Most of the interior venues on Explora ships are on these 2 decks, 4 and 5, and then the rest are up on deck 11. So let me start with one of the main interests that most cruisers have, the all-important restaurants and dining. All but one of the restaurants are included within the fare. There are 6 restaurants, so a lot of choice for a small ship luxury cruise line, but there are also other places to get food at various times of the day. There's no main dining room and there's several specialty restaurants as well. The alternatives to the main dining room are both on deck 4 and they're next to each other, and neither of these restaurants require any booking. There's Fil Rouge, which is a French-inspired international cuisine restaurant, which is open for breakfast and dinner. I like having breakfast here and has a really good menu range for dinner. Then there's the Mediterranean Yacht Club next door, which, as the name implies, focuses on Mediterranean-inspired food. It's open for dinner every day, and on sea days, it's also open for lunch. In both these venues, the menus do not change, but they do have daily specials. There are 3 specialty restaurants up 1 deck on deck 5. Now you're limited to 1 visit per cruise, though you can go to them more often, subject to availability. First is Marble & Co., which is a European-inspired steakhouse, which, as you would expect, has pretty good steaks and is a great-looking venue. Next is my favorite restaurant, Sakura, which is an Asian fusion restaurant open for dinner, but importantly, it's open for lunch on port days. It's a really great place to go for sushi, bento boxes on lunch. I loved going there for lunch. The third specialty restaurant is Anthology. It's an Italian specialty restaurant. It's expensive. It cost me 140 euros to go there, plus another 60 euros if I'd wanted the wine pairing. For more casual dining, there's the Emporium Marketplace up on deck 11, which is open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So unlike ultra-luxury lines, it does have a more casual dining option for dinner. It's a spin on a buffet and is more like a food hall with different stations themed around things like sushi, burger, pasta, and so on. Much of the food is freshly prepared to order, and all of it is served by the crew. It's a great venue and a nice take on buffet-style dining. For other food options, if you didn't have enough already, you first got Crema Cafe. It's on deck 5 and was one of my favorite lounging areas. The Crema Cafe is a coffee shop. It's extremely popular. Specialty coffees are included in the fare, as are all drinks, by the way, and they also have food and snacks based on the time of the day. And also what's good, it's open till about 10 o'clock at night. Then for more snacks, there's the Gelateria and Creperie near the conservatory pool on deck 11, open from roughly midday until late afternoon with a great selection of gelato, waffles, and crepes. You also have a great afternoon tea that's served every day in the Explorer Lounge on deck 11. Then, of course, you can have room service, and what's good about that is you can also order from the restaurants if you're ordering in the evening when they're open. So let's move on to the lounges and the bars. On the lower level of that grand lobby I mentioned earlier is the lobby bar. It's a great looking bar and a focal and popular meeting spot on the ship. Around the lobby bar is guest relations, shore excursions desk, and the shops. More on the shops later. Also on deck 4 at the front of the ship is the Journeys Lounge. This is the theatre with a large bar here as well. It has a cabaret theatre layout and feel rather than being a traditional theatre. It's a beautiful venue hosting the port enrichment talks and the evening shows. One deck up on deck 5 is the Astern Lounge and Bar. This is where they host some of the talks with the smaller audiences like the senior officers Q&A, trivia sessions, and it's also the nightclub after 10 p.m. To find the other lounge and bars, we need to head up to deck 11, where we have the Explorer Lounge. This overlooks the bow of the ship, has windows on 3 sides, and it's a really great venue for sailing. It's also the venue where they have that fantastic daily afternoon tea that I mentioned, and in the evening they have live music. On the portside entrance to the Explorer Lounge is the Malt Whiskey Bar, which, as the name suggests, focuses on whiskies, and connected to that is a cigar lounge with a large cigar selection, one of the biggest that I've ever seen at sea. So what are the other facilities on the inside of the ship? There is a casino. It's on deck 4, and while not a particularly large casino, it has 3 tables, including blackjack and roulette, and a range of slot machines. Also on deck 4 are those shops I mentioned earlier. These are all very upmarket brands. In fact, on Explorer 1, it even has a Rolex shop. You don't have that on Explorer 2, but you do have other high-end brands. Up on deck 5 is the Galeria d'Art art gallery. This isn't your usual Park West cruise ship art gallery auctioning artwork, but more of an exhibition space. On Explorer 2, this was photographs of undersea life by Hussein Aga Khan. Next to that is the MSC Foundation desk. MSC runs a foundation which supports marine welfare and various aid groups, and this desk informs guests about the programs, sells fundraising merchandise, and takes donations. There is, of course, a spa with hairdresser, barber, nail bar, and the usual treatments. There's also a free-to-use thermal spa area, which has hot beds, sauna, steam room, salt room, and hydrotherapy pool. It's small and could be a little bit difficult to get into at times, though. As well as that open-air gym I mentioned, there is a fitness center on deck 10 with modern equipment. It was not large, and I did find it could get rather busy on sea days. Fitness classes are included in the fare. On 2 decks are guest laundry rooms. These are very popular, with a couple of washing machines, dryers, and of course space to iron. On deck 11 is the chef's kitchen, where they run added charge cooking classes. Connected to the chef's kitchen is a dining room where they do host occasional special dining events. For example, the captain hosted dinner there for around about 8 guests once per cruise. I was actually really fortunate to be invited to one on my trip. Before I get into cabins, what about that unusual venue they have for a luxury ship? One of the things that Explora Journeys has that most luxury cruise lines don't is a kids club. It's called the Nautilus Club, and it's for kids aged from 6 up to teenagers of 17. Because there's only one venue on Explora 1 and 2, the times that they use those venues are divided between those two groupings. On the next ships, though, they will have separate kids clubs by those ages. They do run a full kids program, and they do have quite a lot of kids on board in the key school vacation and holiday times. Now, let's talk about the cabins. I mentioned there's 461 cabins, all with balconies, and the ship holds 922 passengers at double occupancy, although a couple of things to note. Many of them do have sofa beds to accommodate families, and there are a good number of interconnecting cabins, again with an eye for people traveling together. Something that's interesting is that not all of them have twin beds that can be made into double beds. Many have fixed queen or king size beds, so it's very important if you need twin beds that you make sure you're booking a cabin that is possible to do that. They call their cabins homes at sea, and they have 3 broad categories: ocean terraces, penthouses, and residences. Let's talk about them in more detail. Ocean terraces are the entry-level, more standard balcony cabin in layout and size. They are, though, a good size comparable to other new luxury cruise line ships. They do have different grades from OT1 to OT4, which is basically based on location. They do also have ocean grand terraces, which have bigger balconies. Then there are the penthouses, with the key difference between the ocean terraces and the penthouses being that those have a separate seating area and a separate dining area. In the higher penthouses grades, they also have a completely separate bedroom, so they're effectively 1-bedroom suites. They have 4 types of penthouses: regular penthouses, deluxe penthouses, premier penthouses, and grand penthouses. Then you move up to the residences, which are larger than the penthouses. They have bigger balconies. All the balconies have hot tubs on them, some of them at the rear of the ship with wrap-round balconies. They also have butlers, or residence hosts as they're called. In this category are cove residences, retreat residences, serenity residences, cocoon residences, and then there's the massive owner's residence, which also has a large dining room. It has a plunge pool which faces the rear of the ship, very glitzy and large. All the cabins have many amenities, including fully stocked minibar, espresso machine, kettle, refillable water bottles, binoculars, robes, premium toiletries, and so on. Explora ships are really beautiful. They look great from the outside, they look great, and have good choices on the inside. But to find out more about the pros and the cons of cruising on Explora Journeys, join me over in this video where I dive into that detail. See you over there.